Our target has been acquired. Shadow Metagross stares down PvPoke's #1 ranked pick. The opponent opts to stay in, likely looking to chip and dip and try to make a catch on something that does resist steel. There is the attempted catch. Trainer, I promise, it's just a Meteor Mash. Does the opponent respect the damage? Welcome back to the channel. My endeavours into the Spice Zone has certainly got me deep into the pits. While I personally do not care about my elo, I am going to look to push a little bit of elo just to keep the battles to somewhat of a respectable standard. When I enter the Spice Zone, I want my victories to be well deserved, as opposed to just getting them because we're playing people that are newer to the game or playing suboptimally, aka like a potato. The only potato plays I want to be featuring on my own. With that in mind, today I set out with a goal to climb elo, and I decided to use 3 of the most powerful Pokemon you can run in this meta. Today's team is triple shadows, it's triple buffed, and it's got 3 legacy moves too. Today is actually one of them rare days where I showcase my own battles with a team that I'd actually recommend using. You can actually use this team to climb with. Whilst I'm well aware this team isn't all that accessible, you could probably replace them with a regular variant and the team would still perform just as good. It's essentially a steel double dragon team. Gyarados isn't a dragon type, but it does function as one, and it does manage to bait out things our Dragonite closer doesn't want to see. With all that being said, we've yapped for far too long, so without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we are not off to the best start as Shadow Metagross stares down Rhyperior. We've got 2 very nice answers to the back. We instantly pivot into Gyarados and see what the opponent wants to do. They say on my screen, I take the initiative, fire off the Aqua Tail, which is double super effective, forcing the first protection of the game. Don't be like me, grow some balls and don't shield breaking swipes. In fairness, it's not a bad shield as the opponent clearly core broken by my legacy Dragon Tail Gyarados as out comes Garchomp running Mud Shot. We land the crunch, fishing for that debuff. Unfortunately, no debuff does come through, but the Aqua Tail still does decent damage, and they're already deep in the red. Gyarados could shield up this outrage. I looked at Dragon Tail farm down, but that would just open up the opportunity for Dragonite to get Rock Wrecker to the face. I don't really fancy that too much. For being brutally honest, instead, we Dragon Breath farm them down, get an energy lead, and when Rhyperior re-enters the arena, we're going to go straight for that superpower. Superpower! Unfortunately, goes shielded. Here, I could have fired off the next superpower, but if they're opting to stay in, clearly whatever's in the back isn't a fan of Dragonite. The opponent then stays in, farm up, try to make the catch attempt unsuccessful, out comes Metagross, and we enter the mirror. This Meteor Mash won't be lethal. However, it will put them in a range where they're going to be forced to Earthquake me, and then they're not making another move. So this game is signed, sealed, and delivered. The opponent fire off the Earthquake, picks up the one-hit KO Dragonite, gets the Dragon Breath farm down, leaving with the double superpower, but one is going to be all she wrote, and we're going to take that game. GG's that opponent. Heading into the next battle, see another awful lead, but this is kind of how the team's set up to work. If you lose lead with Metagross, the 2 things in the back usually have a pretty good time against that thing Metagross doesn't want to see. We say switch into Gyarados, baiting out Florges. The opponent's giving me a huge energy lead, and despite my non-stab Dragon Tails being double resisted, you can see 3 Aqua Tails do almost threaten a KO. Not only is Gyarados putting in hella work here in the mid-game matchup, we've also managed to bait out something our Dragonite closer doesn't want to see. The opponent interestingly go for the disarming voice that simply doesn't get the job done. We fire off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. The opponent then plays the CMP side. They do not win. Gyarados takes switch and shield advantage. Holy Gyarados, chill bro. As I've got the option to realign, of course, we're going to flip switch, send Dragonite into this Glitter Pod. If you're unfamiliar with this format, Dragonite's usually hella glassy, but in the Master League, this thing's got respectable bulk. You see that Aqua Jet didn't do much of anything, and out comes Skeledirge. Dragonite looking to close the show, fires off the Thunder Punch. The Thunder Punch goes unshielded, the opponent continues to farm up. Dragonite, lightning fast, fires off the Thunder Punch. We've still got 2 shields intact. The opponent recognises there's literally nothing they can do. I'm going to tap my phone like a raving lunatic, Dragon Breath farm down, and I will be emerging victorious. In the next battle, yet another lost lead, but there's a plan here. I was going to try and catch a crunch, but interestingly, the opponent only goes for an Aqua Tail. We're going to tank the Aqua Tail, bank our energy, and then enter the mirror. The opponent rebanks some energy, and then once again we managed to bait out Florges. Honestly, the Gyarados Say Switch was baiting out so many Florges, and it was just a beautiful sight as my Dragonite just stayed well away from this threat. This opponent full send a Moonblast, but Gyarados just shrugs off the damage and still going to be an absolute menace, firing off yet another Aqua Tail, and we're even going to reach one more once again, flipping switch or getting shield advantage in this mid-game matchup. The opponent reluctant to invest a Protect Shield, and that more than works for me. In seasons gone by, Gyarados was a pretty good Dragonite answer. However, nowadays, with a rework to Dragon Breath and us gaining access to Thunder Punch, you'd much rather be Dragonite. We can actually tank a charge move, whereas they cannot, as this Thunder Punch will be double super effective. We force a Protect Shield, pivot back into Metagross. The opponent save Gyarados, catch onto Annihilate. If you think Annihilate's a Metagross counter, running Shadow Claw, you must be mad. This Annihilate's getting eaten alive. This is going to be the easiest one shield. Shadow Claw farm down, and my GBL career, Metagross gets that farm down, leaving with a bucket load of energy. Back out comes Gyarados. Gyarados greeted with the Meteor Mash. Can the opponent Dragon Breath farm us down before the next Meteor Mash is reached? They cannot, and that is going to be all she wrote. Metagross absolutely popping off. GG's that opponent. In the next battle, what the helly? A bloody Skelly. I'm going to throw one Shadow Claw, transfer the Incinerate onto Gyarados, and would you look at that, what do we bait out? Honestly, every single team has got this bloody fairy on it. It's kind of crazy to think that everyone thinks Florges would do pretty good into something running Dragon Tail. However, the thing is, we're not actually a Dragon type, and we're not taking super effective, and 3 Aqua Tails we've already seen are enough to knock out. Unfortunately, this time we don't get DRE, and we're unable to flip switch. However, that's not actually the worst scenario, as we can just no-shield whatever they throw, Shadow Claw farm down, and if Skeledirge returns, the Shadow Claws and Earthquake combination are both super effective. However, unfortunately, we're going to be double debuffed, so we are actually going to bank the energy, we pivot into Dragonite, attempt to snipe with some Dragon Breaths, and out comes Goodra, and I'm not really sitting in the best position. We don't have switch advantage, we haven't even got a shield advantage, but regardless, we're going to try and YOLO a Superpower and get ourselves back in the game. Superpower goes unshielded. We don't farm down. Potentially should have thrown some more Dragon Breaths. I would have had a chance in this battle, but unfortunately, we played it a bit like a potato, and that one does end in defeat. GG's that opponent. In the next battle, we're looking to bounce back, and once again we lose lead. I think to this point in the video, I think I've lost every single lead. I don't actually randomise the order I play battles in. You see them in the order that I play them, and unfortunately I just happen to lose all the leads at the start. Towards the end of the video, I think we have a set. We actually win a few leads, believe it or not. This time I was able to successfully catch the crunch onto Gyarados. The opponent fired off yet another crunch. Go for a crunch catch onto Togekiss. The catch attempt unsuccessful. I hold my energy and get to land back-to-back Aqua Tails, doing around 2/3 of their health. It's nice to bait Togekiss out again. Once again, Gyarados baiting out all the things Dragonite doesn't want to see. But in fairness, Togekiss running Peck actually isn't the worst matchup for Dragonite by any means. But with that being said, of course I'd rather rely on Metagross here. So I tank the first Aura Spear, farm up, throw the Meteor Mash on the CMP, tie 2 Aura Spear number 2. The opponent shields. We'll play that fun old game. If you shield, I'll shield. The opponent then get fully Shadow Claw farm down. Metagross leads with a bucket load of energy. The opponent sends out their own Metagross. I farm up a boatload of energy and go for the Meteor Mash bait. Meteor Mash, of course, gonna go shielded. And here comes Dragonite. Dragonite, gonna invest the Protect Shield, blocking up the incoming Meteor Mash. And here I've got to be really careful. The opponent trying to make a catch. No catch attempt is made. We farm up, throw on CMP. Winning CMP is super enough to knock out. Yes, it is. Get that Metagross off my screen. Back out comes Gyarados. Gyarados straight in and straight out. And Dragonite cleans up. GG's and thanks for playing. Holy crap, man. I didn't even remember losing this many leads consecutively. What the bloody heck is going on? Another atrocious lead. We say switch into Gyarados and the opponent enters the mirror behind on energy. Unfortunately, nowadays, Crunch only has a 10% debuff chance. And we're not getting any debuffs to this point. The opponent fire off their Crunch. They also don't debuff. They then set off with Aqua Tail. I know, I survive an Aqua Tail, and I've already hit my Crunch. So it's kind of up to the opponent now. What do they want? Do they want Switch, or are they going to let me realign? We obtain ourselves a shield advantage in the mid-game matchup, and I taught that Crunch debuff into existence. We send out Metagross. Metagross can now fully farm down, and with an energy lead, that Rhyperior isn't all that scary. We correctly shield the Crunch, get the full Shadow Claw farm down. If Rhyperior re-enters the arena, it's going to be one Shadow Claw and the Meteor Mash. Meteor Mash forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, and here comes Dragonite. In battle number 1, I said I need to grow some balls, so we look to call the break and swipe bait. Nope, that's a Rock Wrecker to their face. Oh. I guess the moral of the story is just do the opposite of what I'd do. I shield break and swipes and apparently tank Rock Wreckers to their face. We fire off the Meteor Mash, removing them from the field of play. Out comes Golden Go. We aren't going to reach the Earthquake, and Jamie Finn completely throws the battle, but it's all for the content. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see the Metagross mirror. So what you will notice, I don't know if it's this battle specifically, but if the opponent's running Best Buddy, We actually get breakpoint in this battle. So what that means is their Shadow Claw does 1 additional damage compared to mine. Mine isn't Best Buddy, and it's also only got a 14 attack. All 3 of my Pokemon are Best Buddy badge, but Gyarados on the Say Switch is the one that's actually Best Buddy boosted. For those of you wondering, the IVs on Gyarados is 13, 15, 15. Not fantastic, but good enough. The opponent actually shielded, which works for me. We've got shield advantage. I send out Metagross. Metagross fires off the Meteor Mash before the opponent potentially throw the superpower here. They need to Earthquake to knock out. If they don't Earthquake, Meteor Mash is survivable. And we're going to trust in Dragonite with a 2-to-1 shield advantage to clean up. I waste no time. Go straight for the Thunder Punch. Looking to remove Metagross from the field of play. The opponent invests to Protect Shield. And they're now completely shieldless. Dragonite smelling blood in the water. Gonna invest to Protect Shield, blocking up the first Meteor Mash. The opponent already at Meteor Mash number 2, but we've still got a shield to hide behind, and this time we are gonna use it. The opponent sends out Garchomp. We're gonna farm up, throw the superpower. Superpower hits for neutral. A lot of neutral damage at that. Quick switch back into Metagross. Metagross reaches its own Meteor Mash, and this will be moving Garchomp from the field of play. Back out comes Metagross. They Shadow Claw farm me down, but we're going to be able to Dragon Breath farm them down or throw a charge move. Either works, and just about escape with a dub. GG's that opponent. Heading into the next battle. Holy hallelujah, we win a lead. Let's hope I don't bodge this mid-game matchup. The opponent pivots into Gyarados, and as I said previously, I'd much rather be Dragonite. Hence I send out Dragonite rather than enter the mirror. We fire off the Thunder Punch, which is double super effective, forcing the first Protect Shield of the game. We're just about outside of crunch range, but the question now becomes, can we survive the subsequent Dragon Breaths after that? The opponent actually go for the Aqua Tail bait, which might be a decision the opponent lives to regret. We reach the next Thunder Punch, and the opponent throw on CMP, and they now find themselves with no shields to hide behind. I said I should try and not bodge this mid-game matchup. I had like no health on Dragonite. I think aggressively sending out Gyarados here isn't my best work. The opponent's got so much energy. They try to catch a crunch onto Florges. I see it coming in. React quick enough. Fire off the first Aqua Tail. Gyarados only 1 Dragon Tail off the next Aqua Tail. The aggressive pivot might actually work out nicely for me here. I've got no intention of shielding up Gyarados. And what the heck beats Metagross for 2-to-0 shield advantage? I'll tell you right now. Absolutely sweet FA. If you're not English, if you wonder what sweet FA means, I mean absolutely fuck all. Gyarados actually putting in so much work getting Florges deep into the red. The opponent then send back out Gyarados, switch locking it in the process. And this is now an opportunity for Metagross to just get some energy together. We correctly shield at the crunch. We're going to look for the Shadow Claw farm down, which we're going to be able to get before the next crunch is reached. Believe it or not, Jamie Finn sometimes counts, and this is only an Aqua Tail. If Florges re-enters the arena, we're just going to Shadow Claw farm it down. If something else enters the arena, we're going to look to boom it. The opponent sent out Florges, didn't want to get boomed, and they concede the match. In the next battle, normal service has resumed with an atrocious lead. We say switch into Gyarados after throwing 1 Shadow Claw and transferring the Incinerate, baiting out Florges. Clearly this opponent got the memo, recognising Gyarados actually does decently here. And shield the first Aqua Tail, then go for a really random Chilling Water. I'm not really sure on the Chilling Water, but I'm not going to complain. It does mean these Aqua Tails don't do much of anything. But all we're actually looking for Gyarados to do is gain some kind of advantage in the mid-game matchup, which it certainly did the next time the opponent full send a Moonblast. And Metagross is going to hit the field of play and look to massively overfarm. The opponent going to fire off yet another Chilling Water, which doesn't do much of anything. And rather than get double debuffed, I'm going to farm up, throw the Meteor Mash, and bank this residual energy. If Skeledirge re-enters the arena, once again, 1 Shadow Claw and the transfer on the Incinerate, banking the Meteor Mash in the process. I think if you're going to run Skeledirge and MLP, you've likely got Disarming Voice. The opponent actually full send a Shadow Ball, which is by no means a bad shield. Out comes Metagross. We don't want to debuff ourselves instantly. I'm going to fire off this Thunder Punch, able to land. And this next Thunder Punch might actually threaten a knockout. If the opponent invests their final Protect Shield in Metagross, I believe. We're going to save the final shield for Metagross. We've already got a boatload of energy. I've just got to overfarm, ensuring I can Earthquake Skeledirge and Meteor Mash their own Metagross. My Metagross re-enters the arena. It's going to invest the final Protect Shield. And to be honest, I could probably just Shadow Claw farm them down. The opponent pivots back out into Skeledirge. Skeledirge going to be straight in and straight out. Earthquake, massive overkill. And Metagross re-enters the arena. We reach the Meteor Mash, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's that opponent. Heading into the next battle. It's mad, isn't it? Like I said previously, we lost a load of leads, and now magically we're winning quite a few leads. This is why I don't personally believe in the algorithm. It kind of balances itself out. The opponent say switch into a Waterfall Gyarados. We're just going to fire off the Thunder Punch before we play any silly games, thinking, do they have Outrage? Do they not? Florges re-enters the arena, and you might be wondering, why haven't I Thunder Punched yet? Well, the thought process is that I'd rather just get them to dump their energy, and we can resume where we started, with Metagross aligned into Florges. I fire off the Meteor Mash removes them from the field of play, out comes Shadow Typhlosion. Absolutely love the spice, but in the 2-shield, this is game over. Gyarados going to invest the Protect Shield, and not wanting to get one-shot by double super effective Thunder Punch. The opponent's now going to be 2 Incinerates off the next move, but we're only 3 Dragon Tails of the double up, and we actually have the higher attack too. So this next Aqua Tail will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield if they tap their Thunder Punch instantly, which they do not. In the Baby League, Typhlosion got a high attack stat. In Master League, Gyarados wins it by a mile, and we'd be able to take that game. GG's that opponent, love the Typhlosion spice. And that was actually the final battle that got me a nice 5-0. As we look to try and climb some elo. In the next battle, we see Rhyperior in the lead position, of course. A no thank you from me and a save switch into Gyarados. Out comes Goodra. Goodra, a very fine answer for Gyarados. Of course, they've got access to Thunder Punch that is double super effective. If the opponent threw it good timing, I'd definitely just let this go. But as they let me sneak a full 3 Dragon Tail, I recognise I'm going to be able to force a shield in the mid-game matchup. And the fewer shields that are in play, the better I think Metagross is going to be into that Rhyperior. Whilst we do lose this mid-game matchup as Thunder Punch, of course, double super effective, a easy one-shot. I quite like the position I'm in. I'm going to just send out Metagross, these Dragon Breaths, not doing much of anything, and Aqua Tail or Thunder Punch, whatever they throw, isn't going to do much either, and we're going to get a massive farm down afterwards. Metagross dares Rhyperior to re-enter the arena, back out it comes, and Trainer, are you sure about that? One Shadow Claw and the Meteor Mash forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. Metagross able to outpace to the second Meteor Mash, and that is going to be the end of Rhyperior. The opponent sends out Skeledirge, here comes Dragonite, and this game is already signed, sealed, and delivered. We're just going to outpace the 2 moves, so I'm going to shield whatever they throw. They go for the Torch Song bait, so be it. They actually YOLO the Shadow Ball, which actually would have been survivable. We're going to return fire with the Thunder Punch. We're doubled up. Going to fire off that Bad Manners, a double resisted superpower, and take that game. Sorry, not sorry. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see Annihilate in the lead position. Not a particularly bad matchup for me. We are on an ABB team, so with that in mind, we're going to farm up and look to catch the Rage Fist onto Gyarados, where it only hits for neutral. Rage Fist doesn't do much of anything. Out comes Magnezone. Holy crap. It's about time, to be honest, that I got zoned. Oof. The moral of the story is, if you're going to throw some bad manners in the previous battle, prepare to get absolutely clapped in the one after that. I send out Metagross, fire off the Meteor Mash, double resisted, doesn't even knock out, and I'm in absolute shambles. We correctly shut up the Wild Charge, and we should be able to Shadow Claw farm down before the next Wild Charge is reached. The opponent actually died with the move there. Back out comes Annihilate. I'm going to fire off this Meteor Mash, and I think I'm just going to stay in, to be honest, and look to force the energy. Hopefully Shadow Claw him into a range where Dragonite can Dragon Breath farm down afterwards. Hopefully got something like a Gyarados in the back. Nope, that's a Florges, and I am going to instantly run. GG's, Mr. Opponent, you've got me. Heading into the next battle. Metagross stares down Primarina. The opponent says no thank you. Save switch into their own Metagross. The opponent farm up, only throw a Meteor Mash as they're a turn behind. So this can only be a Meteor Mash. I'm going to bank this energy and then send out Gyarados. I'm just going to go straight for my crunch and look to remove this Metagross from the field of play or force a shield. They're very unlikely to shield as they're never ever outpacing. This is actually a Charm variant of Primarina, but Charm this season generates more energy, doing less damage, so Gyarados is going to reach multiple charge moves. The first Aqua Tail doesn't do much of anything, but if we can reach 3, potentially we just can Shadow Claw farm them down after that. Can we actually reach 3 is the question though. Unfortunately we cannot. We're going to die as we're about to receive the energy. The opponent has a boatload of energy. But again, Metagross wins the charge attack priority, and Meteor Mash forces the first Protect Shield of the game. I actually thought that was CMP, but it actually wasn't. I guess they just got denied. What is going on with this game? Out comes Magnezone. This is likely the Mirror Shot, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest. I'm just going to shield both Mirror Shots. I'm then going to farm up to the Superpower plus Thunder Punch, and we should be in a good position. As I've also got a Meteor Mash banked. We're going to fire off the Superpower. The opponent looks to call the bait. They get one shot. Back out comes Primarina. This time you can see the Charm does come through, but they're still going to be forced to respect the Thunder Punch. They've got fractional HP. We give the opponent that wham, bam, combo play, serve up the Big Mac and the fries, and Meteor Mash is going to be all she wrote. Heading into the next battle, we see Feraligatr in the lead position. A big fat no thank you from me and a save switch into Gyarados. And we get zoned for the second consecutive battle. Oof, this is bad, man. We are going to reach the second Aqua Tail. Whilst this won't be lethal, it will do decent damage, putting them into the red health range. So, of course, by no means are we sitting in a good spot. Previously, I did shield the Wild Charge. Whilst Wild Charge would do more than the Hydro Cannon, we've got to be mindful that Feraligatr also has Ice Beam, so I'm kind of just going to tank this move and hope Dragonite in the 2s can clean up. Back out comes Feraligatr. I'm going to look to call the bait. That bait call goes horrendously. We get nuked through 2 Protect Shields. Would you have a Jamie Finn video? I didn't get nuked through 2 shields, and we take heartbreaking defeat. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see another Metagross mirror. I'm going to farm up, try to make the catch attempt unsuccessful, and my Gyarados save switch is answered by Goodra. We already know this isn't a great matchup. We are able to get a defense drop here, but even after the defense drop, I've got no intention of shielding. I hope the opponent would allow me to reach the Aqua Tail, but they smartly throw the Thunder Punch just before the Aqua Tail is reached. Metagross can now farm down and leave at 100 energy. The defense drop actually quite helpful here, as I don't think they're going to reach back-to-back moves, despite over farming onto Gyarados. Oh, they actually do reach back-to-back moves, and now Metagross is going to lose almost all its HP. The opponent tries to give me the cheeky wham, bam, combo play. We are going to invest a Protect Shield, block up the Meteor Mash, and return fire with our own Meteor Mash. The opponent actually shows huge cojones, calling the bait. We send out Dragonite. Dragonite able to Dragon Breath farm down, and we've still got a fighting chance here. Out comes Waterfall Gary. Oh, baby. This is GG's. This thing is never going to be able to Aqua Tail bait into Outrage. The opponent knows it. Tank the Thunder Punch to the face, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see a fantastic lead, but somewhat of a tricky save switch. Neither of my back 2 Pokemon want to see a Dragonite behind on energy. Opponent fire off the Thunder Punch. We're going to return fire with the Meteor Mash, which should force the first protection of the game. The opponent actually have no intention of shielding, so we send out Dragonite, and Dragonite can get the snipe afterwards. As I said previously, this is by no means the worst matchup. Despite them being a fairy and me being a dragon, you can see Thunder Punch just does crazy damage. We've also got a heavy pacing advantage in this matchup too, taking 10 turns to the Thunder Punch, whereas they're 14 to the Gleam, and the opponent throws the Gleam on CMP, losing CMP. They do go for a nice undercharge, but only get 1 further peck. We send back out Metagross, the opponent sends out Gyarados, and we enter the mirror. We are behind by 1 or 2 breaths, but we should be fine here with a 2-to-1 shield advantage. The opponent fire off the Crunch, we return fire with our own Crunch. The opponent still 1 shield to hide behind. Reluctant to shield the Crunch, we get the defense drop, and this can only be an Aqua Tail. As we haven't had our defense lowered, we're going to survive this, whereas the opponent will not. The opponent now find himself between a rock and a hard place. Where are they going to burn the final Protect Shield? In Togekiss, they believe, but Metagross just going to be able to tap, Shadow Claw farm them all the way down, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, our target has been acquired as Metagross stares down Florges. The opponent going to stay in, fire off the Chilling Water, looking to debuff, and then likely look to make a catch. There is said catch attempt. Out comes Magnezone. Trainer is just a Meteor Mash, I promise. Does the opponent respect the damage? Bang! There it is. Get that Magnezone off my screen. Magnezone straight in and straight out. The opponent sends out Metagross. We pivot into Dragonite as they're still switched lock. We waste no time. Fire off the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch would go unshielded. I think the opponent actually rage quit the app. To be honest, I still had around 9 or 10 minutes of footage. My voice is absolutely killing, so we are going to end it there. I think this team's hella good, to be honest. All 3 Pokemon are very, very strong. As I said previously, none of these Shadow Pokemon have optimal IVs. Metagross are 14, 14, 15. I think Dragonite is a 15, 14, 14, and Gyarados is a 13, 15, 15. But despite that, all 3 of these Shadow Pokemon in the Big Boy Master League, especially the Premier Cup, are absolute monsters. I can only apologise for how horrendous I sound, but if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you'd like your battles featured on my channel, a link to my battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.